Tony, it's great to see you. Thanks for joining me today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Happy to do it. What do you see on the horizon for the people in this room, Nat Security, Intel, DoD folks, regarding artificial intelligence and machine learning? A lot of people talk about AI, not machine learning as much. So what do you see on the horizon for those folks?
Yeah, it's interesting how, fast things can move now, right? So one of the areas that we look at pretty closely is generated code, right? So as you think about how fast now someone can have code that will run in a spreadsheet as a macro, or automate tasks that they're doing on a regular basis that didn't have the capabilities to do that. Now, really looking at what is authorized code to run, how do you authorize it, when is it allowed to run? Those are one area where we spend a lot of time of not only looking at how to do that, but how you scale that, right? So, but if you look at machine learning in general, one of the challenges is, what type of information are you feeding it? As you look at it today, it's more of, kind of synthesizing and regurgitating things we know. But as it improves, it's going to be able to start doing things that we haven't thought of yet. And I think that's where the real danger of how do I know whether I trust something or not trust will come into play, right? And so it's no longer okay to be on the sidelines and look at AI as, we'll be a little bit more effective, but really, what impacts is it having across the business?
Is the challenge deploying the technology itself, or is the challenge deploying it at scale? Or maybe the correct answer is yes.
Well, it's one of those things that yes to both, right? Yeah. It's also something that even if you aren't using AI as a technology, it's something you have to be aware of, right? Because of that scale, right? So it could be used for good and it can be used for bad as well, right? So if you're not incorporating it within your business, because it's not something you're ready to take on, does not mean that bad actors aren't using AI and technology to understand your business, right? If you look at the recent issue that they had at OpenAI, where what happened was they were feeding it the same word over and over, and basically what it looked like was a buffer overflow, and it was basically feeding out information that you wouldn't necessarily want people to have, right? So being able to understand not only what your information you may have in there and have exposed, as well as individual people within an organization that may be using AI. What are your policies? What are you actually feeding it, right? Because you don't own that data. The AI companies, in most cases, own what you're feeding it. So there's a lot of risk there to really understand how that's being used.
What's your sense of how organizations in national security, national defense, intelligence, and so on are doing at using AI and machine learning as tools to solve problems rather than using them as solutions in search of a problem? You understand what I mean?
Right. Yeah, I don't think it's, I think we've given it a new name, and I think it's only because it's moving faster, right? But if you look at, like breach detection, AI has been, something that's there, right? Machine learning is there, right? It's way too much data for a person to sit and log and go through. So having to be able to surface important things, right? The creativity and the ability to react to some of these things is still going to be humans for a long time, right? But surfacing information, making people more powerful is really, the critical piece of how we can look at machine learning and AI and how it's impacting businesses.
What does success look like at some future point, whether it's a short-term year or so or long-term 10 years? And I understand 10 years from now, we have no idea where the technology itself will be.
Yeah.
But what does success look like, do you think, from a governance perspective and a management perspective?
It's interesting. At Venafi, we manage, keys and certificates. And that's one of the things we do with and really, we call it machine identity management. And as part of that, we have customers that worry about, breaches and outages of systems. What we use it for is to enable people to faster onboard their systems, understand. So we incorporate AI to really help them understand how they can move a lot faster, right? And that's really where AI shines, right? So whether it's kind of looking at standard business practices or tackling something for the first time, it's really getting people to be able to react faster.
Tony, it's great to talk to you. Thanks very much for your time.
Yeah, it was a pleasure. Thank you.